Oh, these gnats. Hey, my name's Andrew. I started this series about things I wish I knew earlier to try to help people in their creative lives and the work that they're trying to do, whether that's stuff they do full-time or in the hobby, part-time, whatever it is. Something that I've learned and learned the hard way is that one of the hardest things about any kind of creative work is dealing with the success of your friends. That's something that we don't like to talk about because it's an ugly thing. It doesn't make us look good to talk about. These gnats are the worst. Ooh. That's something that's really hard to talk about because it just makes you seem petty and jealous, and frankly, sometimes we are. But we all deal with it. In my world, music, we are face to face with the success of our friends. There's a chart that you can see it really obviously in Spotify. It shows you how many people listen to my music, how many people listen to the music of my friends. In fact, one of my really good friends is a musician and a wonderful artist. He lives down the street from me. And I know, because of Spotify, that a lot more people listen to him than listen to me. And I'll tell you what, 10 years ago, that kind of thing would have destroyed me. Now, I'm really glad that so many people listen to him because he's awesome and people should be listening to him. But let me tell you, earlier in my career, that kind of stuff, it just ate me up. There's a famous quote that says, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And what that means is that when you spend your time comparing yourself against others, you are robbing yourself of the chance to be joyful. And that has definitely been my experience. What I know is that when I started out and somebody around me would have a moment and something would start working for them. And in music, that happens. Somebody just pops off. They get a song that just takes off, or somebody in a TV show hears their song and wants to use it, or some big artist wants to take a younger artist on tour, and all of a sudden, one of your friends just starts doing something amazing. And you're faced with this dilemma of, how do I deal with this? Because maybe you started at the same time. Maybe you started first. Maybe you worked harder, or maybe whatever the narrative that you've got in your head. And let me tell you, I've got all the narratives. I've got the narratives of, I worked harder. They started out with more money. They're not as talented. They stole those songs. They whatever. All these reasons why they didn't deserve it, or that should have been my shot, or whatever. I would have to bring them down in my head to make myself feel better. And all that meant is that I was spending a lot of energy coming up with reasons why they weren't as good and making myself try to feel better, as opposed to making myself a better musician. Then sometimes you can even go a step further and you can start taking those things outside of your head and start saying them out loud. You start saying them to people behind that other person's back, and words have this funny way of traveling around, and that person might hear what you said. That's really fun to have to deal with and walk back. Don't do that. There's not a tarantula around here. There are tarantulas around here. All that energy that you spend trying to bring them down and make yourself feel better, that's wasted energy. It's so wasted. Because eventually, over time, some people do better, some people do worse, but then other people do better and other people do worse. But if you all keep working, people just start kind of moving up as a community, and they bring each other up, and you start working together on things, and you mend your fences, you say you're sorry, and you start cheering each other on, and pretty soon you kind of grow as a crew, and you look back and you start sitting around and you talk about that season where somebody had that moment that big thing happened. And often, as in my experience, I learned that what looked to me like they were having this amazing time and everything was so easy and so comfortable, and just like, oh, if only I could have that, it would be so great. And those were often not such great times for them. Things seemed out of control. Things seemed crazy. There was so much pressure. What I learned, even if it was a fun time or a really great time for them, is that they needed friends. And I wasn't one, because I was so busy being jealous that I was not being a good friend to them. And I really regret that. I wish I had been a better friend. So now, When my friends have something great happen, I do my very best to be first in line, to give them a high five or a hug and just say, way to go. How can I help? What do you need? Because, man, we need each other. If I have something great happen, I hope my friends are there for me, because the truth is that when something great happens, I'm going to need help. We all need help. And we all need people around us. And the more you're there for people, the more they're going to be there for you. And that's not why you do it. We don't care for people so they'll care for us. We care for people because it's the right thing to do, because it's how we're human. But as we all care for each other, that's how we flourish as a community. And look, the truth is that some trees are going to grow taller than others, right? But when you look at this, it's gorgeous, right? Like, everything's beautiful. And how you're beautiful might be different from how somebody else is beautiful. How you grow is different from how somebody else grows. But if you are growing and you're healthy and you're making something that you love, that's awesome. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're number 1 or number 100. And it doesn't, those things, they lose their shine after a while. You just realize that they don't mean anything. Because the truth is like, you get a number 1 hit, but next week somebody else has that number 1 hit. Those things are so fleeting, but your friendships aren't. That's what matters. So do whatever you can to celebrate your friends. And here's the thing, be grateful for what you have. Gratitude is the key to all of this. The biggest antidote for jealousy and bitterness and all that ugly stuff is gratitude. It's looking at what you do have and saying, this is wonderful. Or maybe it's not wonderful, but maybe it's good. And if you got anything growing, that's awesome, because sometimes it's hard to grow stuff. And if you got people around you that are caring for you at all, that's awesome, because sometimes it's hard to find people that can care. Here's another thing I've learned is that I'm always looking at the people who have more than me and going, oh, if only I had that, if only I had that. But there are always people that are looking at what I've got and going, oh, if only I had that. You might be doing that same thing. Are there people that wish that they had what you have going on? And the goal here is not to be braggy about that or to get a big head about it. It's to be able to be grateful for it and to celebrate it. And for us to look at each other and say, hey, how can I celebrate my friends? What is going on in my friends' lives, careers, and the things that they're making, whether it's their career or not, and just say, hey, that's awesome. What you're doing is wonderful. How can you help? What do you need? And being grateful, caring for each other, that's so much better than being bitter. It's so much better than being jealous. It's so much better than being number 1. Because you know what? Every now and then I have been number 1. And it doesn't mean anything. It's a plaque on the wall that eventually you move because you want to put pictures up of your kids. It doesn't mean anything. I'd rather have the pictures up of my kids. I'd rather have pictures up of my friends. That's what matters. So be grateful, be a good friend, make awesome stuff. All right, thanks for watching. Go do something awesome.